The Heartless CEO, written by Yeron G. Chapter 12. "Where did you go, honey?" Nicole asked her son worriedly while hugging him tight.
"I'm sorry for making you worry so much, Mommy."
He hugged his mother back. He had always felt that his mother was afraid of something and did not want to lose sight of him, especially when they were in a public place.
"Promise me you won't do it again. You're not familiar with this place. So you should ask Mommy first if you're going or doing anything."
His mother's tone and face were so serious, and Rosie did not say anything. He raised his right hand and nodded as a promise to her, but his other hand was hidden behind his back and was doing a cross finger. He smiled at his mother to erase any doubt in her mind. Even when he was young, he could quietly remember anything in a place. He is not the type of child who will cry and be scared when lost in a crowded place. Smiling, she led his son back to the baggage area and her bag was already there. When they left the airport, Kanur was there waiting for them.
"Grandpa!"
Sen happily hugged the old man when he sees him. It has also been 5 months since he last visited them in Canada. "You're a big boy now. Come on, I'll give you a back ride." Kanur happily kissed the child's cheek.
"Dad, Sin is big already. So don't put him on your shoulder. What if you hurt your bones?"
Nicole rebuked him. He also seems to have forgotten that she was also there and his full attention was with her son. "My, you're being jealous." He teased her before giving her a hug. He was very happy with her return to the country she swore to come back to. Nicole smiled as well and hugged the gentleman. If there was anything she had to be thankful for in the past 5 years, it was when she met the gentleman and her son. The aura on Nicole's face changed when she saw the car Kanur brought. She smiled bitterly. In that vehicle, she met him for the first time. She did not know why he had to remind her on her better past. When she set foot in the country, she thought she did not wish to return to once again.
"Wow, what a cool car!"
Sen smiled proudly at the car before getting inside. He was accustomed to using a well-known car in Canada. He even read what was put on the roof in front.
"Taxi?"
Nicole felt tired when they got home, but her son seemed tireless and even invited her grandfather to go around. She had left the two and get a rest in the room she used in that house in the past. "Did something happen?" Steven asked Gray when he noticed his grandmother's silence. He was surprised because earlier, when he met them in the waiting area of the airport, she was staring at him intently. Then now, she is silent and deep in thought. "Because Madame saw a kid who looks like you earlier inside the airport," Gray replied, which made Steven frown. Steven looked at his grandmother who was just next to him. She still seems to be lost in thought and doesn't notice him. She didn't seem to hear his conversation with Gray too. He just shrugged his shoulders and leaned his back on his seat. Tony just quietly listened to the two talk. In the 3 years he has served the young man as his driver, it was the first time his grandmother became his passenger. "I'm not leaving today. You can leave if you have an important thing to do." Steven talked to his driver before getting off when they got home. "Thank you, sir. It's perfect and I have a friend to visit." Steven nodded to the gentleman before turning his back on him. Like Gray, He also did not have any sort of doubt about him. Tony happily left and hurried to the house of his original boss, Connor. He was also eager to see his boss' grandson that he was very proud of. Tony stopped of a moment when he remembered that Gray had said about the boy they had seen at the airport earlier. Is it possible? Tony asked himself as he remembered that Nicole and her son had also arrived earlier. And from what he remembered, Steven's grandmother just came back from Canada. He shrugged his shoulders and hurriedly walked again. When he arrived at Connor's house, he immediately saw the child. He was dumbfounded and could not take his eyes off the child's face. "Oh, Tony, there you are." Connor smiled at the newcomer. She frowned when he noticed that the man his grandfather had called was looking at him oddly. He looked at him like how the old woman he met at the airport earlier did. Tony smiled quickly when he noticed that the boy was not happy with his reaction. He is very similar to his real father. "Good afternoon, Sir Connor. Your grandson is really handsome. Who else would he inherit it from?" Connor bragged to Tony. Smiling, Tony just let his boss bragging. Now he is sure that he was the one Madame Asuncion saw at the airport earlier.
Grandpa, I want to take a rest.
Sen excused himself. Tony and Connor both had a smile on their lips as they watched the boy's back. When he disappeared from their sight, their faces suddenly became serious. "What's the news at your place of work?" Connor asked Tony. He was updated on what was happening in Steven's life, but Nicole didn't know that. "The engagement party will be held next week. Haven't you noticed any clue from Danica that will lead us to knowing where the missing child is yet?" He asked Tony again. "They do not know if the child is dead or alive. Danica is always in the office of the house, sir. If there's somewhere to go to, she goes with the kid and Steven's sister. Their marriage shouldn't happen." Connor gritted his teeth. He didn't want the woman who caused Nicole's misery to continue to be happy. She wasn't the one deserving to be called the mother of one of Nicole's children. "What's your plan now?" Tony asked the gentleman. Nicole came out from the hiding place when her second father suddenly felt silent. She heard everything they were talking about. The two gentlemen turned to the lady at the same time.
I can't allow her to be happy while I'm miserable because I lost two of my children.
Nicole's gaze sharpened. Connor told her to sit down and they talked seriously. He agrees with whatever she feels like.
Nicole stared at the man Connor was talking to. She only knew him by name because she was still weak when she was brought to Canada. She was thankful to him because he was one who saved her life and that of sin. I remember Danica told me before Steven isn't active in sex, so it's also a reason they can't have a child. I want to test my ability for the second time.
Connor frowned as he stared at the girl. He couldn't get what her plan was about.
I want to seduce Steven and steal him from her.
Nicole explained to the gentleman when she read what was on his mind. I'll help you get close to him if you want. Tony added to the conversation between the two. Nicole smiled at Tony and something was playing on her mind already.
Before their engagement party, I want to carry out the first step.
Tony nodded and listened to what she wanted to happen. After talking, he left with the souvenirs given to him by Nicole. He went home to his family and will return to work together. When Nicole was alone, she looked in the mirror.
She recalled the night something happened between her and Steven. Even though she was under drugs that night, she couldn't forget how aggressive Steven was in having sex with her. Far from what Danica said, that a young man was not interested in bed. It's been 6 years, but he still couldn't marry you even though you took the role of mothering my child. Nicole smirked and whispered, as if she was saying Danica in front of the mirror. When Nicole remembered the name of the child with Steven, she frowned. That woman really stole her child. Even the child's name was derived from her. Nicole picked up the cell phone and looked at Daniela's face again. The girl has bought her pictures in Steven's, but Sen looked exactly like the man. Sadness filled her heart again as she remembered her third child. She didn't know if she looked like her or Steven, but she is sure that she is beautiful like Daniela. She prayed that she is alive and in good health. She sent something to the house where she was imprisoned, but the owner is already different. They said that the house and land were sold to them, and they do not know where the previous owner was. Nicole also opened the laptop and browsed about Steven's life. He looks proud to be the father of their child, but the name of the child's biological mother was not mentioned. However, his relationship with Danica is unclear apart from the fact that she is taking up the role of the child's mother. In the mansion, Madame Asuncion was quietly observing Steven's old picture. Her grandson in that picture is 5 years old, and she is even more disturbed by something that has been bothering her mind. "Grandma, is there a problem?" Steven asked his grandmother when he saw her at his library while holding his old photograph. The old woman was surprised when his grandson suddenly spoke. She did not realize he was right there. "Besides Nicole and Danica, did you have any other woman before?" She couldn't help but speak her mind. "Why did you ask all of a sudden?" He frowned as he returned the question to his grandmother. "That kid really looks exactly like you." Steven immediately got what his grandmother meant. He also thought and remembered what had happened at the hotel 6 years ago. He shook his head. He was sure no other woman had entered his room that night. Apart from Danica, he was not in a relationship with any other woman. "Maybe I was just thinking wrong. It's impossible for that boy to be your child." Steven felt his grandmother's feelings to regret. She really wanted him to have a son. He also wanted to have a son. But no matter what Danica does, he doesn't feel his body heating up. She won't be able to wake up his seemingly weathered manhood even if she swallows it. According to his doctor, his case is normal, and his pain got worse because of the woman he lost sleep with. He said there is a little chance of being active again in bed if he cannot find a woman like the mother of his child. But he is thankful to Danica because despite lacking as a partner, she never leaves him. She continuously loved him and cared for him, nor did she make him feel inadequate as her boyfriend. He had to put an end to the torment he was giving her. Those he agreed to marry her thought he would not be able to find a woman like Danica. "It's better for you to rest. I know you're tired from traveling and taking care of the upcoming engagement party." Asuncion lets her grandson to lead her back to her room. The next day, Tony returned to work early. His boss is going somewhere, a place that is quiet, secluded.